Let's talk a little bit about Audley Harrison, because you were ringside that night when Michael Sprott KO'd him. And I think not everybody, but, the majority of people had Michael Sprott as an underdog. And just the thought was you were going to be fighting Audley Harrison around now. How disappointed were you that you didn't get a chance to fight the Olympic gold medalist?
I mean, yeah, disappointed initially because you don't know how things are going to pan out. Ultimately, I want the chance to fight, and that is my belief. I've said that now, sort of a year previous, and whoever I have to fight to beat to get to that stage, then it doesn't matter. Obviously, why people look at the fight as me and Audley would have been a good fight because he is an Olympic champion and he's worldwide known. Myself and Michael Sprott are little known really on the world stage. So from that point of view, publicity-wise and to sell the fight, it would have been great. But I can only beat the man who's beat the man, and we can't take nothing away from Michael Sprott. We keep talking about Audley. Audley, until he fought Danny and beat him, I don't think he really showed himself. And, whether he went into the Sprott fight overconfident or too much self-belief, we don't know. But he still went back to his same old bad-mouthing the fighters. He thought fighting Sprott was a foregone conclusion. And as we know, in boxing, it's never over till the bell's rung, the last bell's rung. So he didn't still take nothing away from me. I've still got the fight I want. We've been promised a possible world title shot after, and that's my goal, and it always has been.
I do want to talk about the possible world title shot and the possibilities that are out there, considering recent changes. But I do want to also just ask you about, you've come into the game and you've always said, be world champion. I haven't come in to hang around for 20 years. Yeah. It's what you want to do. Have you been sort of frustrated at the learning curve that has been sort of boxing and how long it can take to get that world title shot and just how difficult that road is to get that world title shot?
I mean, if the truth be known, I'm quite in a fortunate position. I believe I've got a good team around me. When I first started, I was involved, that I'm not with the Maloneys no more, but, I haven't got a bad word to say about them. They got me through my opening fights and got me to like the 13 fights with when I fought Sprott initially for the British title. If you look at most fighters' careers, they're not looking at fighting for world titles till they're in their probably fights and looking at a world title shot. The thing about boxing, which can be frustrating, because obviously each management and each promotional team try and protect their fighter, which is understandable. So, i.e. the likes of Frank Warren promoting me, the likes of Kevin Sanders as my trainer, they're pushing to try and get me this fight. So I can only keep my fingers crossed, and I believe they're working behind the scenes in my favour to try and get me that fight. I think now when I beat Sprott, I believe, not due it if you want, I believe I've earned the right to fight for a world title. Bargaining power, what's behind me, I can get that, and that is my dream, yeah.
I mean, the name that was being mentioned around was Valuev. That was what we thought was going to happen, and I know everybody was working towards that being happen. Things change, it changed. Now, Chigayev. Yeah. What are your thoughts on possibly facing the new world champion?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, Valuev was a mountain of a man. It would have been a daunting task for anyone. But I've always said that he's a man and he's beatable, and Chigayev showed that over the weekend. And I think, it was a close fight, but I believe he went into that fight probably with a lot of self-belief. You've got to believe. There's no point in stepping through the ropes if you don't think you've got the ability to beat it. Without rubbishing the situation of boxing at the minute, it's not, boxing is not what it used to be, on the world stage, because there isn't one dominant world heavyweight champion, or there isn't a dominant force in that area. So I think maybe it hasn't sort of grabbed the public as when the Tysons were about and the Lewises were about and the Brunos were about. And hopefully, I want this chance to fight any of the world champions to prove that, coming from my background, no amateur experience, with the right training, with the right focus and the hard work, I can become a world champion. And I think the thought of fighting Chad or any of them is not daunting in any way or form. I think, I've always thought he was a good fighter, but I do believe, again, he's very beatable.